focus of this episode is going to be on networking. So far, we have talked about impresario networking and being a connector, but now we're talking about an online platform called Alignable. We welcome John Marchiony, who is a relatively new user of Alignable, to the Language of Business.
Thanks very much. Good to be here.
Why have you suddenly struck up this love affair with Alignable? What is it? How does it work? And why are you using it?
It fits with my business. When I first got involved, I actually met Eric Graves, the founder, along with the CTO. And what they were talking about doing was what I like to do naturally in real life, right? Which is go out and look for resources that could help me build my business that were within reach, right? Within 5 to 10 miles of where I am. And that was their vision as well. Eric came out of Constant Contact, so he got small business marketing and relationship marketing extraordinarily well. And they wanted to build that kind of interactivity amongst community members in a digital way. You go into a meeting for an hour and you spend 6 minutes with 6 or 7 different people. You have what is intended to be a relatively superficial relationship-based get-to-know-you conversation where selling or even prospecting will be counterproductive. And as a marketing, business development, and salesperson for my career, I hate the feeling of inefficiency of that, and it works.
You keep saying during our interview that it's working. What is it, and what about it is working?
Sure. Most people who've done sales and marketing and networking have heard the phrase, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And Alignable executives and ambassadors and trainers hammer that message in every communication and every interaction. Somebody said something that resonated with me, is that a quick connect where is only about building relationship and rapport and connection. And the way that most people fail, which I probably did for the first 4 years I was interacting on Alignable, was that they look at it as speed prospecting rather than speed networking. And in the conversation we had yesterday, people said, yeah, it's kind of like speed dating. And I said, yeah, it's not like speed marrying, right? We're dating right now. We're going out for coffee or maybe a burger, but it's like, that's as much as we're trying to accomplish, is to see if we want to have one more conversation with this person. So this quick connect format, where you're doing a bunch of 6-minute conversations with people that are intentionally superficial, is really, really productive. All of the people I know who've had success on Alignable have submitted to this particular process and have faith that it will work, and it has. The ambassador community, of which there are probably 100, 120, something like that, are raving about their success, and they're spending an extraordinary amount of time cultivating the relationships that they have with their alliance members and people who are adjacent as well.
So I love how passionate you are about this. Seriously, it's great to see. It's wonderful energy. But why couldn't this be duplicated by a LinkedIn group? Or if you think about Toastmasters or any of these Business Leads International, where you're doing it on Zoom, what makes Alignable so special in this local involvement, this neighborhood involvement?
Well, so LinkedIn isn't set up to be local, right? A BNI or lots of in-person networking groups are set up to be geographically specific. Alignable is melding the two, right? So I was recruited and volunteered to be an Alignable ambassador, and my obligation to that is to facilitate the discussion within the digital group, but also to conduct at least 2 events every month, one of which one should be virtual and one should be in person. And to do an in-person event, you have to be local, right? And so the alliances are also geographically defined to be about as far as you can get to drive for lunch reasonably.
And do you receive any benefits as an ambassador? Is it something you apply for? Do you get a reduction of your monthly fees? Do they feature you in press releases? Help us understand. I mean, clearly you're an affable guy and you might be volunteering for this, but Are you typical of the model that they're looking for?
So all ambassadors are volunteers. You either have to apply or be invited to apply to be an ambassador. You have to meet certain criteria, which is having a certain number of connections and recommendations on their platform. In fact, to be an ambassador, you have to have a paid account, which is $30 a month, which is a great deal for me because of the visibility and the additional functionality that I enjoy is well worth it. So I'm able to build my brand, my visibility, my network, and I get to leverage the credibility that comes along with having the badge, having the use of logos, the training, the slide decks that I can use and implement, behind the scenes access to technology. So for me, it's a high value investment. And the number of connections that I have acquired through this process, I probably got 2 or 3 times as many as I did before I started or became an ambassador. So it's well worth it at this point. And there's a subset of ambassadors who are having an extraordinary experience and think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? There's got to be a continuum of folks who are going to drop out, just like you would expect in anything. But it's a good opportunity for me, who has a focus both geographically and mission-wise, right? I know who I'm trying to find, so I can find them anywhere in the country, but it's also good to have that local presence because it's easier to work close to home, right?
John, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
John Marchiony, the founder of Fair to All Partners and a recently anointed ambassador for Alignable.
Are you a problem solver? Do you see the big picture and the small details? Want to turn big data into big decisions? Take AI to the boardroom. Translate rocket science into the science of business? Build your career at digital speed with a Master of Science in Business Analytics. Be ready for careers like analytics consultant, data science, analytics strategist, data translator, BI analyst, technical business analyst. 10 months and you're in business analytics.
Everybody likes to network, but is it possible to make money from it? Then, on the other hand, maybe it's your job. We welcome Steve Snyder, connector in residence for Gesma Updegrove, one of Boston's premier law firms for entrepreneurship, back to the language of business. Hi, Steve.
Greg, thanks for having me. It's always a treat.
Steve, I've always considered you to be the consummate networker. Why do you think you do it so well?
Well, I would say I love what I do. I don't consider it to be work at all. I consider it to be fun. And so finding ways to help people with their business challenges and creating value is what brings me success, and that's how I bring my clients success.
And you are responsible, amongst other people in your firm, for doing business development, and over the years have used the word connector in addition to networker. What's the difference?
To me, when I think about networking, I think of people standing in a room collecting business cards. And when they get back to their own offices, they look at the stack of business cards and what are they? I'm sure they don't even remember which card belonged to which person, but actually connecting with someone and beginning to build a relationship is the key. And the truth is that CEOs and business folks should be doing as much connecting and building relationships as anyone else. If I'm a CEO, I want to try to build relationships, to find new customers, to make connections to financing sources, to find the best strategic partners, and even to connect dots to get to the best acquirers for my company. So it's important not only for service providers, but for every business person.
But let me push back for a moment. I know a lot of lawyers, I know a lot of CEOs. You seem to be unique in that Gesmer's model is that you are being used for business development almost exclusively. Why aren't other services firms pursuing the same model?
My focus is meeting entrepreneurs, asking questions to really understand what their business challenges are, and then finding ways to help them with those challenges. Much of my time is spent with entrepreneurs helping to identify ways to drive revenue, increase profitability, and create value for them to help them succeed. And so I can't speak to why others generally don't do it. I can only speak to what I do and the importance of helping people succeed in their businesses.
Something that has also been particularly interesting to me over the years is you are so generous with your time that you're willing to give a 30-minute or a 60-minute courtesy meeting with people in order to get to know them. How many of those actually are converted to paying customers?
Another great question. In fact, not know this, but I never, ever, ever bill my time. I've been here at Gesmer for 14 plus years. I've never billed 1 minute of time. I don't take equity. And the goal is to simply build relationships and create value. And if and when these companies have a need for legal services, they use our firm. The philosophy is not asking first, it's giving first. It's helping to build relationships and create value and helping others.
The focus of this episode is on networking, or in your world, connecting. What single piece of advice would you give to someone who wants to get better at what you're doing?
While I really do appreciate your compliment early in this conversation, if you were to give me a choice between going to the dentist or walking into a room of 100 people I don't know, I'll go to the dentist every time. The biggest piece of advice I can give is when you think about connecting, or as you said, networking, I think the best opportunities, the most comfortable places to meet people are smaller, intimate gatherings. It might be 5 or 10 people or 20, or maybe a bit larger, but I would stay away from the largest groups. One thing that I learned early on is take a buddy. Take someone that will accompany you to a meeting, and then you're not alone. The other thing is, while you're there to meet people, ask questions first. Ask questions about the person and their business. Have them tell you about themselves, and you'll have an opportunity to tell them about you as well. But start with the other person. It makes it much easier.
Steve, thank you.
Thanks so much. It's always a treat being with you.
Steve Snyder, connector in residence at Gesmer Updegrove, one of Boston's premier law firms for entrepreneurship.